I can feel it coming. It's that time again. It's those old goofy goblins. Welcome to Goofs and Goblins, the tabletop role-playing anthology. We're back for another installment of the Grimm Realmm campaign arc. As always, I'm your host, Hammer Gibbons, and the bearded wonder, Matt Gordon, is Goof Mastering this 5th edition D&D game. But you already know all of that. What you might not know is what some of the D&D stuff actually means, because maybe you've never played before and you just listen because you enjoy the timbre of my voice and our smoothly seductive storytelling. Rather than dump a bunch of information on you all at once, here's a bite-sized bit of D&D knowledge. When you make a character in D&D, you choose both a race and a class. Race is something like human, dwarf, elf, orc, whatever, and you get different bonuses for picking one over the other. Orcs, for example, are physically stronger than elves, but elves can't be magically put to sleep. Class is your job or profession. I play Shaw the Monk, Tran plays Malthus the Bard, and Johnstone plays Felina the Fighter. In D&D, monks are mystical martial artists who are versatile in what role they can play. They're usually kind of tough to hit. They can perform several fast martial arts attacks in a single turn, called a flurry of blows, and maybe they have some other wushu tricks up their sleeves, like running on treetops or shooting fire from their palms like Ryu from Street Fighter. Bards are just what they sound like. Old-timey minstrels and entertainers, but in D&D they also have magical powers that they channel through the power of music. In most editions, they function as a kind of support class, using their music to inspire greatness in others and healing people with their ballads. The fighter class that Felina is acts as your run-of-the-mill warrior or soldier class that you usually have as an option in video games. They're also versatile in that they could decide to focus on dealing lots of damage or soaking up lots of damage. In Johnstone's case, Felina can use her shield to protect Shaw or Malthus from attacks if she's near them when the attack occurs. Or she can keep monsters from running away from her by pinning them down with attacks, like she did to the wolf in the first episode. There are a whole bunch of other classes, and each class has different special things they can do and different signature abilities, so we'll explain what any of those are briefly, should they come up in the game. But other than that, I'd say it's about that time again. Time to descend into the Grimm Realm.
Once upon a time, 3 adventurers, Dame Felina Duquesne, Malthus the Bard, and a martial artist by the name of Shaw, set out at the behest of their liege lord Cardric to render aid to the neighboring kingdom of Grimswood. They traveled hard across a dangerous steppeland known as the Ride, pushing themselves and their horses to the limit. Soon, the trio found themselves accosted at the kingdom's border by a monster most foul. A wolf of strange power and smooth villainy engaged them, and their confrontation predictably boiled over into combat. After nearly losing Shaw, first to the beast's belly, and then to its possessive magics, the 3 banished the wounded denizen of the Grimswood from their path. Now, they stand before the castle town of Wartburg, a final hurdle before the Raven Citadel, where wait the bereft and princessless king and queen. For real though, as an aside to our listeners, I think it's important to let them know that I hated saying baron, baroness, and baronet, because those are not words I use a lot, and it was upsetting to me. So now Grimswood is its own established kingdom with a king and queen and princess, because those are better words for me.
And they're easier, I don't know, there's just more fun fantasy stuff, too. Like, yeah, if this is going to be fairy tales, let's make it about a princess instead of a little baronet.
Yeah, for real. I don't know what I was thinking. I was thinking too small. We gotta go grand with this.
We gotta go big.
We gotta go big or go home, you know? Even though we're all in our homes right now, we'll need to go to our second homes.
Yep.
The Turbo home.
Mar-a-Lago.
Oh,
Political.
that's a bad home. I don't like that home.
Also, I've gotten some feedback on that first episode.
Mm-hmm.
People didn't understand why Felina's voice was the way it was.
Oh, okay.
It's because she's wearing a metal helmet, and so I thought it might be funny if her voice sounded like she was inside of a metal helmet.
Under this beating sun, Felina's sweating way too much, and so she decides to take off her really heavy metal helmet.
Right, so maybe we should get into it. You guys are on the road. You see in front of you a castle town pretty similar from the outside to other castle towns you've been to in your journeys. There's a stone wall, maybe 40 feet high, and there's a single entryway. The portcullis is open, and you can see traffic going in and out. Everyone going in, though, is being stopped, and there's like a cursory sort of questioning happening by some townsguard. And you can tell that people are... You've been on the road for a while now, and more people have started to travel the road with you. And you've also passed several cottages and homesteads out here in this border of the Grimswood. So, yeah, what do you want to do?
We go into the castle town.
Sweet. So you guys approach the entryway to the castle town, and you see a bored-looking town's guardsman, and he's like, "Welcome to Wartburg. Please state your business."
Shaw can see a little white headphone in both of his ears, and he pulls one out and listens to what the guard is listening to.
The guard is listening to some very moody lute playing. Like, take Greensleeves and then slow it down by like 20%, so it's 20% speed, and just put like whale sounds behind it.
Why? Why would anybody do that?
Well, Malthus, you're pretty savvy with the music scene. Why don't you roll a performance really quick?
A lot. It looks like 24.
Oh man, this is Enya, a elven songstress.
Man, this is where'd you get this from?
Oh, my buddy Nick, he knows a guy who went to the show.
Oh, we're here to see the king and queen.
You got any papers to show your worth or something?
Felina whips out her banner that she carries in a dazzling display, of course.
Oh.
She was in the color guard. And she says, "This should be enough."
At seeing your banner unfurl, he takes his little helmet off his head and does a shallow bow. He's like, "Oh, deepest apologies, my lady. Please go right inside."
Of course we will.
Right, so you all pass the portcullis and enter into Wartburg. So this is a really dark, dank city. The buildings, mostly made out of mismatched cobblestone, feel really cramped and too close together. And there's like this perpetual sort of moisture and wetness on all the stone. Acrid trails of chimney smoke stream through the air like hundreds of dull, dreary pennants and banners. And beyond that haze, you can see the graying stone of the Raven Citadel, from which the Grimwood family rules, up back behind the rest of the town. So feel free to explore the town as you guys want. One thing I think would become very apparent as you all are kind of walking through it is few of the buildings here actually seem to be homes. Most everything is like a storefront, a tavern, a guild office, or the like.
Well, Felina turns her nose up at all the acridity around here and covers her face with a handkerchief and continues on towards the castle.
Malthus pays no mind and just follows along.
It seems even the very air cannot find a happy home here.
Right, so you three make your way through the town as quick as possible. You don't want to spend a lot of time in there. You've got a job to do. You can see the mood in the town is pretty somber. There isn't a lot of joviality around. People are kind of going about their business or talking in low voices on street corners in small groups. You can see one man preaching on one of these street corners as you go up Main Street towards the castle.
What's he preaching for?
He seems to be preaching... Well, do you mean like, does he have a religious affiliation? Or
which god is he preaching for?
Malthus, You have spent a lot of time traveling around Faerun. You've seen a lot of different cities and countries, and one of the places that is always free to sleep in for at least a night for travelers is churches and, temples and stuff like that. So you have a pretty good familiarity with all the religions of the continent. You at least can tell a lot of them by sight. And this one just seems completely alien to you. You have never seen a preacher dressed this way before. It doesn't really ring true to any of the gods or goddesses that you know of.
How's he dressed?
He's dressed in... He almost looks druidic in that he's dressed in, animal furs, and there's a wolf skin cloak with the top part of the wolf's head still attached to it over his head, like a skull cap, kind of.
Malthus raises an eyebrow but doesn't slow down.
One of the old, nameless religions of the savage peoples.
Cool. So you guys continue on. You don't stop to take in his sermon, as it were. And you can see that, not a lot of people are there. This doesn't seem like an organized event. There's a couple curious listeners, but it's not like this dude is preaching in a big mega church or anything. And you head up to the Raven Citadel. So now, this is a towering structure built from gray stone and set partially inside one of the Dragonspine Mountains, which is a big mountain range that sort of bisects a big chunk of this continent. The front entryway has its portcullis down, so it's not something you can just waltz right into. And as opposed
Felino
to
waltzes right into it.
Well, as you get closer, you see that there are two castle guard standing watch in front of it, and these guys look much more official and put together than the town's guard that was they look like basically peasants who had been pressed into service, and these are career military men.
Okay, well, I guess Felina will stride up with her banner in tow and her decree from Lord Alderwood with her.
Did Lord Alderwood give you a decree?
Of course.
Yeah.
I distinctly remember.
Yes, and it said that we could drink at any tavern for free.
So, I'm going to say that you're going to need to do an honor roll to sort of try and get your way in on your noble name and Cardrick's name.
Well, you're in luck. Felina always makes the AB honor roll.
That she does. She is an honorable woman.
She's been on the dames list for several semesters now.
Mm-hmm.
24.
Holy shit. All right, what do you say to these guys when you come up and drop your banner down like a badass?
You will open the gate for me.
Cool. Hey, really quick, because I'm very curious now. What does this banner look like? What's the Duquesne crest?
Oh, sure. It's a white iron gauntlet on a black shield with a deep purple sky backdrop.
George would be proud. Cool. So you do that, and it's something about, like, your confidence, kind of dressing for the job that you want. Speaking for the job you want, not the job you have. And this banner is really well made. Like, your family worked some tailors to death to get this.
Sure. Not only that,
right.
but I'm also wearing the family gauntlets.
So the castle guard says, "Of course, right away, milady." And he calls up, "Open the gate." And the big iron portcullis goes chuk, 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 and gets pulled up high enough for all of you to enter just fine.
Do we enter on our horses?
There's a stable right inside the main courtyard where you can hitch them. I just remembered, so we'll have to do it going forward. You guys are all exhausted right now. You have 1 level of exhaustion, so you have disadvantage on ability checks. Just so y'all know.
Okay.
So you guys enter into the Citadel proper, and you can immediately kind of tell that this was not designed as a traditional castle. There's just a lot of twists and turns in here, and it seems much more fortified and militaristic in structure. There's murder holes, but the people that are in here and the sort of amenities that have taken root in this citadel are diametrically opposed to this heavy militant construction. It's like someone took a corporate office and then turned it into like an apartment complex. But you are eventually led into the Great Hall, as it were, and there you see, dealing with a small line of courtiers, the people who hang around in court and ask the king and queen for stuff.
Catois.
Oh, butt sniffers.
Butt sniffers. Right. So there are a few people milling about in this great hall, and they are dressed very, very nice. Much more like mid-level nobles than the 3 of you. And you see that the king's throne is unoccupied, but on a small dais is 2 thrones, one unoccupied, and one slightly larger, occupied by the queen, Queen Antonia.
Tell me of Her Majesty.
She is wearing a blue gown inlaid with pearls, and her hair is done up in a very Queen Elizabeth fashion with, you know, it's like super big updo with a lot of architecture involved, and there's a further net of pearls sort of keeping her hair contained, and she looks, honestly, you would not expect a woman of her apparent age to have a young daughter. So the queen sits on her throne and is looking at you all kind of like, who are you? What are you doing here?
Would you call it a contemptuous gaze?
She has a very stoic face on right now because that is what is expected from her as a queen. She doesn't give much away.
Felina strides forth up to kind of near her and then kneels down and bows.
Meltus sees Felina do that and does the same because he's still not too sure of human customs.
Okay.
Shaw performs a kowtow.
Right, so you hear above you the queen sort of sigh slightly under her breath, and she says, "Rise and state your business."
Queen Antonia, we come from Lord Codric Alderwood, sent by him to help rescue your daughter.
Right, the queen raises one delicate eyebrow and says, "I question why a lord beyond my realm would care for our plight. Tell me, what is it that your Codric Alderwood gets from helping us?"
I truly do not know.
Well, far be it for me to guess at the machinations of a rival lord, but I'm not quite sure we have any need of your help.
Are you turning down help to save your daughter's life?
I am saying that we are quite capable of solving our own problems. What's more, I'm not sure how you could even assist us.
Then you have not heard the ballad of Dame Felina Duquesne.
Malthus pulls out his violin and starts playing
Oh
it.
shit, son!
And, I don't have the ballad, I just know the
Felina
music.
kind of face palms before it even starts.
Hear now of her exploits. How she stewed the great roast. How she blew a great
queen-
toast at that wedding at one time.
Okay, so as Shaw is sort of like beat poetry talking, Malthus is quickly trying to like provide accompaniment to this roast and toast.
He's tuning his instrument. He's like, hold up,
Wait,
one
wait,
sec.
hold. Okay, no, wait, back it up a little bit. Alright, there we go.
And how she bore witness to this great boast.
Awesome. So the queen just sort of lets that continue for a little while. And she says, finally, after just...
No.
Just,
Before she says anything, Felina has to... I'm terribly sorry for their actions, my queen. Deeply, deeply sorry.
Wait, but I did not get to the part about the ghost.
it would do you well to keep your vassals in check, Lady Duquesne.
They are actually not my vassals. They are Cardrick's.
Well, it surely does not reflect well on him that he would send such undisciplined men to my kingdom.
Do not worry. I am the most disciplined thing you would ever see.
Felina, I was not to that part yet. She once disciplined a host.
Still trying very hard to... It's like you're still trying to rhyme, but like you've forgotten how rhyme schemes work in this language, so now you're trying to rhyme.
Yeah, the whole
start
thing.
of
This all rhymes in Chinese too. So if it doesn't sound so great in English, it's just it's lost in translation. It's not Shaw's fault. It's y'all's.
The queen says, well, discipline or not, the Grimswood is no place for outsiders. We've already sent several parties into the wood to try to find what has happened to my daughter. None of them have returned, and I see not why you would be any more fortunate than they. And at this point, before you guys can really respond to that, there's a big bang from the back of the hall, and you see that the doors you guys entered from, which were they're those stupid 13-foot tall doors, and you see one of them has just been like kicked almost off its hinges, like it slams the gray stone of the great hall and like rattles on its fixtures, and you see a very scary sight. The wolf that you all fought earlier in the wood comes into the hall.
Here's the part about the ghost.
But as it comes in, you realize that A, this wolf is dead, and B, it's being carried in by a man. And this man is not particularly tall. He's probably, I'd say, 2/3 the height of the queen. Like, he barely comes up to her collarbone. And so this man comes in, and you see he's like covered in like scratches, and his outfit, which at one point was probably very high fashion and expensive, has just been like shredded, and there's big gashes and stuff. But he's like, "My dear, I found him again." And he like over his shoulder kind of flumps the carcass of the wolf down in the middle of the great hall. And he's like, "He put up quite a fight this time, but I beat him in the end." And the queen, this is the most emotion you've seen on her face so far, and she's just like, "Oh," and face palms in a very similar way that Felina did when Malthus and Shaw started their impromptu jam sesh.
And you said, so we know for sure it's the same wolf?
It looks exactly like the wolf that you guys fought earlier.
And his butthole is all stretched out.
It's
huge.
not super great to look at, I would say. And yes, it is very dead. And the last time you saw this wolf, it was fading into insubstantiality like the Cheshire Cat from Alice in Wonderland, telling you guys some rude remarks as he got away from you.
I nudge Shaw, or Malthus nudges Shaw. I was like, that looks like the wolf that defecated you.
I'd recognize that stench from anywhere. It's definitely him.
It's still on me, that's why.
It's still on my body.
The man who brought the wolf in turns to you and says, "Oh, you had a run-in with old Volk, did you?"
We did. He ate me and passed me.
Whoa! We're belly brothers, you and I. And he claps you on the back, and he's like, "I've been inside this old dog's belly a time or two myself. Tell me, what's your name?"
My name is Shaw. If we're belly buddies, then this must be yours. And Shaw returns a small pendant that he found in the wolf's belly to the man.
Okay. The man says, "Oh, it's Nan's haberdashery," and he takes it from you, and he's like, "Good show, old boy. I've been missing this for months now." And he pockets it, and he's like, "Oh, what impressive specimens we've brought here, Antonia. Tell me, who are they?" And the queen says, "These are some adventurers that Codric brought here, dear." And at this point, probably Felina already knew, but Malthus and Shaw, you guys would kind of recognize that this is the king of the Grimswood. So the king says, "Ah, Codric, well, he was always one of the good sort. It's nice of him to send some meat for the grinder, as it were. Tell me, are you here to help us with our wolf problem?"
We're here to help you with your daughter problem.
And at this, the joviality drains from the king's eyes some, and his beard, it kind of droops a little bit. Like every part of him sort of deflates just a little. And he's like,
Half of the hairs in his beard fall out and drift lazily to the ground like cherry blossoms.
"King." He buries it.
Stupid,
You
yeah.
knew exactly what I was going to do as soon as I said king. King buries into mud. Autumn comes. Yeah. He says, "Oh, yes, quite. You see, our baby girl is..." And he almost starts, he starts to lose it a little bit. And the queen says, There, dear. It's all right. Come here." And he runs over and has to regain his composure back up on the throne for a little bit. But she takes
daughter,
over.
Laura Palmer.
She takes over, speaking as he composes himself and says, "Well, as you can see, we are in a bit of a bind, but again, I'm not certain you'll be able to help. The king himself goes into the wood whenever he is able to try and recover our girl, and nothing has come of it yet." And the king, who's sort of recovered a bit, says, "But, my dear, they've stood against Volk, and they're still here to tell the tale." "Yes, but they didn't beat him, did they?" And at this point, you can tell that the two of them would probably dither back and forth about you guys for a while.
To be fair,
Unless-
he did run away. It wasn't our fault that we didn't beat him.
It's true. He tucked his tail and ran.
It's not our fault he's a punk-ass bitch.
Well, you see, my dear, they sent him packing. That's something more than any of those other adventurers we sent out into the wood." And she says, "Well, I suppose you're right about that."
Speaking of which, How did you tether his physical chakra to this world to prevent his absconding?
Oh, you and those chakras. You need to get around learning about modern medicine, like humors.
Your humors are scientifically inaccurate.
The king says, "Oh, well, you see, I found him next to a stream, and he was licking some wounds, as it were, and so I shimmied up a branch, and I waited for the right moment, and then caught him by surprise. I dare say, now that I know you all got in a bit of a tussle, it seems like you did most of my work for me this time."
Belina, do you think those were the wounds that you inflicted with your sword?
It could very well be. Of course, there had to be some from your staff.
I bet it was. I bet that's what those wounds were.
Right,
Do
well,
you really think so?
I do. I do.
Well, his
Right.
biggest wound was his anus when you came out of. So, are you thinking that he was licking his own butt?
That is what wolves do.
right, well, good show on you then. Though, I dare say it won't be the end of old Volk.
Yes, death is the start of a new journey for us all.
Maybe, but it's much the same journey for him. What is he doing now? The king turns to his wife and says, "My dear, we've sent out so many to try and find our girl. What's a couple more?" And the queen says, she would actually say this kind of quiet to him. Like, he doesn't really have an inside voice, but she starts speaking quietly to him.
Shaw asks her to speak up.
Does he really?
Yeah.
Your honor score needs to be way less if you are this ignorant of decorum.
Don't social shame me. I'm from a different culture.
Right. So I got Malthus's perception check. What about the other two?
Felina is way too distracted by the throat singing going on next to her. She knows he has to go to the bathroom right now. That's what
Like a toad. Like, it's just gonna happen, and like I can't control it. It's just part of like. Oh,
Jesus, that's gross. Right. So between Shaw's throat singing.
It's getting cut. The throat singing's getting cut.
Right. Well, so Malthus, you can hear her whisper, "But darling, the fact of the matter is we don't have the money to pay any more adventurers. At least not if we want to keep her alive."
Please, your grace, speak up.
Malthus whispers to them, is like, "Are we in this for the money? Hold on. There's money involved in this?"
The queen turns a severe eye onto you, Shaw, and she says, "I will not be told what to do in my own chamber, monk."
Shaw kowtows and says, "Your grace, it was merely a request. I could not hear you in this large, drafty room."
And it was not something you were meant to hear.
My sincere mistake. I know not why you would speak in front of us if we were not meant to hear it.
The king, trying to sort of keep the peace, says, "Oh, don't worry about it, Belly Buddy. It's all right. Here's the thing. We would dearly appreciate your help as a favor
All right,
to
then,
us."
off we go. Let's go help.
Yes, absolutely. To battle.
Oh, really? You'll help?
That was our sworn
you
mission.
were sent by Lord Cardric to do it.
Oh, all right, good. You'll help. No takes backsies. And
Now, what must we pay you for this privilege?
Whoa.
I don't have much on me, but my family name has plenty.
Yes, we all have very little, but we'll give what we can. For the chance to prove ourselves as true
Malthus
adventurers.
is backing away right now.
Malthus kind of tiptoes out of the room, like, nope.
the queen says, "Oh, well, no, that's very kind of you, but we have no need of commoners' money, if you'll forgive the meaning. But here, our wizard will give you the details of the assignment." And she, raises a tiny silver bell from next to her throne, and it's like, Hammer, can you put like a just the tiniest little bell tinkle here?
Yeah, I can give you a bell.
Yeah, just a little ding 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 ding. And so this tiny bell sound echoes through this great chamber, and y'all are sort of just standing there for a couple of beats, and then finally you hear, "All right, I'm coming. Keep your corset on." And from the side of the great hall, a elderly man stumbles out. The queen says, "This is our wizard in residence, Trinculo. He will give you the details. Trinculo, these three have graciously offered to assist in the recovery of Ariel. Please instruct them in the particulars and send them on their way." And Trinculo, who I'll paint you a little word picture real quick of what he looks
Please
like.
do.
He's a pretty stereotypical wizard, if a little on the shabby side. He's got long gray hair and a salt-flecked black beard that goes probably, down mid-chest. His robes are definitely like wizard-level voluminous robes, but you can see there's some obvious wear and tear to them. Like, maybe these are his lazy Sunday lounging around the Citadel robes or something. They're definitely not super clean or dressy. But anyway, he's like, "Yes, of course, my lady. Please, come along then." And he gestures for you all to follow him.
Okay, we follow
Sorry,
him.
Felina's still distracted. She's not used to be called a commoner. Her brows are still furrowed a little, pondering. But she's like, but to a queen, I probably would look like be a commoner.
Yeah. So he starts leading you all through the Raven Citadel, and there's still a lot of these twists and turns, and, at this point, you guys have been in here long enough. I need you all to make me a history check real quick. Remember that disadvantage.
Literal 0.
18.
18. Solid. So you would know, just in general, that this citadel was not built by the Grimswoods, but occupied by them, and that the previous owners and the actual constructors of this structure were a group called the Zentarum.
Yeah, everyone knows that. It's common knowledge.
It is not quite common knowledge at this point.
No, she thinks it's common knowledge.
Oh, all right. So Trinculo's leading you all through, and he says, "Pardon the confusing layout of the place. The Zents were ones for subterfuge even in their aesthetics. The princess went missing almost half a year ago. There was a terrible summer storm, and for a while afterwards, we had thought she had simply been frightened by the lightning and thunder and hidden herself somewhere deeper in the bowels of the citadel. But not 2 days later, the messenger for Sycorax arrived and brought with him a lock of her hair and a letter from the beast."
The beast wrote a letter?
"Dragons are capable of all sorts of things, Master Monk."
Where I'm from, the dragons merely dance for the new year.
"Ha! Well, that sounds like a much nicer place to be, as it were. But no, here we are plagued by the dark dragon Sycorax. He lives on the other side of the Grimswood, and it is by his hand our darling princess has been kidnapped. You see, his message demanded that we pay tribute to him in order to ensure her safety and life." And at this point, he leads you guys through this one doorway, and you're out on a balcony. And you can see that you've somehow moved through the citadel, and furthermore through the chunk of the mountain that the citadel is built into. And you're now on the other side of both those things, looking out behind where all the regular townsfolk of Wartburg would be. And the wizard directs your attention downwards where the mountain meets the ground, and you see there a heavily armored wagon backed up to an open portcullis built into the stonework. And you can see some kobolds leaving this wagon through, like, the back of it, and going into the citadel, just casual as you like. And then, after a little while, they come out with large bags and chests and trunks. And Trinculo says, he sends his minions here regularly, and they bring a wagon, as you can see, and take liberally from our coffers until they can carry no more.
Why do you not simply shame them that they are false believers of a false dragon god?
I'm so ashamed.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do it.
You guys got good kobold voices.
Yeah. There are many gods in this world, Master Monk. I'm not certain I'd label Sycorax as so. Perhaps devil would be a more accurate term, but irrelevant to that, his power is real and frightening, and these kobolds have been under his control for countless generations.
Go on.
Not a very talkative bunch, you three. That's all right, I guess.
We all just have popcorn and just chowing down and watching him.
If you look closer, and he directs your attention back to the wagon, where you see that on the top of this covered wagon, there's a stone fixture of some sort, shaped kind of like a chess pawn. It's got that sort of rounded top and tapered middle, and it spreads out into a base that's affixed to the wagon. And the round ball at the top of this fixture is rotating with a pulsing blue light, like a lighthouse. And he says, that is how Sycorax monitors his minion. As near as I've been able to tell, his wagons go unmolested through the wood. It seems the wood itself knows not to trifle in the affairs of a dragon. Enough of this. I hate seeing my lords and ladies' coffers be emptied so callously. Come, I have something else to show you. Something that hopefully will help your journey. And he takes you off of the balcony and back into the citadel. And as you guys are traveling, he asks, so what exactly do you have to offer by way of skill or ability? We've sent many a adventuring party into the wood, and none of them have returned successfully, if at all. What makes you think you'll be any different?
Shaw cuts him off at, what do you have to offer? He's like, we tried to give payment to your king and queen, but they would not accept.
No, my friend, I don't mean what do you have to offer monetarily. I mean, what makes you think you can succeed in this endeavor where others have failed?
Well, we have what most NPCs don't have. We have plot armor.
Thinking of yourself as above the common man is not something I'm unfamiliar with, especially from nobles such as yourself, my Lady Duquesne. But in my experience, a noble dies by an arrow to the heart just as easily as the nearest peasant.
Ah, yes, but did this noble have 6 levels?
So I assumed then that you are accomplished adventurers, with several other journeys and challenges under your belt?
Did you not hear the song that we did for it?
Have you not heard the ballad?
No, this pulls out his violin again.
Do you have a bathroom nearby?
Right. So he says, Trinculo says, so I've been making a study of the Grimswood for quite a lot of time. It's sort of my principal project here at the Citadel. And as near as I've been able to tell, this forest has some semblance of will, all its own. Ancient texts mention that there used to be no wood here at all. It was just the ride all the way through to the desert. But the ancient house of what would become the Grimswood took refuge here in the Citadel, and using their magics, they raised the wood to protect their small folk and peasantry from the dangers of the outside world. I think that is why any not native to this land risk life, limb, and sanity whenever they go into the wood. It's that ancient magic that keeps those who've lived here protected and those who do not on edge.
All trees are alive. They have an energy, and if you train yourself, you can feel it. Perhaps these trees want to slough off the yoke of the oppression and be free trees. These trees are slaves.
That is an interesting theory.
Release the tree slaves. Set them free, Trinculo.
Oh, okay.
Do it.
Right. Okay. Wabba wabba doo. Trees.
I release you.
Trees good with you.
Oh, geez, Rick. You can't just release all the trees.
Right. So he says, Trinculo makes like some fake words and like movements with his arms to appease the suddenly irate and environmentalist Shaw. That came out of left field for both the wizard and for me. But
release the fucking trees, Matt.
Shaw's personality is very fluid. It's like water.
Like water.
It is. It's mercurial, some would say.
If being environmentalist is funny joke, you become environmentalist. If being crazy monk is funny, you become crazy monk. That way, no one can hit you because you're like water.
There it is. You tied it in. You put a bow on it. Good job.
Did it tie in?
No, not at all. Right. Well, as I was saying, the woods itself seems to take a dislike to outsiders that stray into its bounds. Normally, it's a relatively harmless, if somber place to live if you're native to the area, and as I am sure you noticed walking through our town, the vast majority of our citizens live in the wood itself. But from what I've seen, only rarely do outsiders make it through the Grimswood with their lives or sanity intact. What I'm trying to say, I suppose, is that there are things in the wood that will try to kill you. The woods itself likely won't, but it may try to drive you insane, so I guess be on your guard and spend as little time in it as possible.
Those woods are sick and sad. We must release them.
Well,
Yes, Shaw, of course.
to help in your journey, especially to keep your spirits and energy up and cut down on the amount of time you have to risk yourselves in the wood, I've put a little something together. It's actually just almost done, so if you follow me, and he takes you into what is very obviously a workshop of his. There's a lot of the bric-a-brac you would expect to see in a wizard's study. You know, like stacks of tomes with strange languages on their spines. There are creatures preserved in jars.
Creatures, beakers, sneakers.
Yeah, a shallow, like, dish with a pitcher of water next to it. Star charts and maps of, you know, the surrounding area along the walls.
Eagle-eyed
like that.
viewers see the petri dishes from The Thing.
Yes.
And there's a little piece of copper next to them, and it's like just a little Easter egg in the background.
Unless
It's small bottles of ether from Campfire Tales.
Oh, even better. Yeah.
Yeah. Just a little bit of nod to continuity there. So, yeah. So there's all that kind of stuff in his room, but the bulk of the area seems to be taken up by what looks like a ongoing experiment or a project of some kind in progress. There's a table with 2 rows of glass vials, and next to the table there's this cauldron that is just, the liquid inside is quietly sort of gurgling.
You put tea on for us. Shaw goes to like grab it, and he's gonna pour some.
Okay. Trinculo sort of intercepts you, and he's like, not quite tea, but you're not far off the mark. You see, I've developed a potion that's a amalgam of the standard issue healing potions along with some minor divination magic that will hopefully allow people to gain advantage on their pursuits for a limited amount of time. Essentially, this will aid you in your power and help you get through the wood safely. The only problem is I haven't come up with a good name for this potion.
Ether.
What about you, my lady? What would you name a potion that aids people in their power?
Powerade.
Yes, that doesn't sound half bad at all.
But we can't use it.
I think we can. It's just 2 words. We're not selling a drink here.
Wait. What about this? And he takes one of the vials that was like, it's got
Taste,
tape
please.
on it, and it just says, this is a vial of, and it was blank, and he writes down power and then aid, but then he puts an E at the end. So it's like ye old power aid. He's like, how about that? Does that work for you?
Pretty sure Powerade has an E at the end of it. It's just not.
It just doesn't have an I.
Yeah, there's no I in it.
Okay, so he does that. He puts power and then AID.
Why would you spell it any other way?
You know, I'm not quite sure, but this feels right. Cool. And he puts the vial back down, and he says, right, so what I've got set up here is a sympathetic link between these vials that I can fill from my workroom and these vials here that, if you want, you can take with you. And, well, here, I'll show you. And he takes one of the vials and, like, fills it up from the cauldron. It stops gurgling as soon as it goes into the vial, but it stays clear. And he's like, now, I'll need one of you to hold on this for a moment and concentrate, and then it will key the vial to your preferences.
I have 6 key points.
Yeah, sure, that's almost the same thing. Here, and he hands you the vial. What color does your power aid turn?
Mandarin.
Mandarin orange?
Yep.
Okay, so it first turns Mandarin orange, and then seeing that, what does Shaw do?
No, he's fine with it. He's not picky.
Okay, so he got his choice, and the Trinculo goes,
Yeah, he sees it turn that, and he's like, oh, Mandarin orange, huh? Oh, I get it, Trinculo. Oh, I see how it is.
Trinculo's putting up his hands. He's like, no, it was you. You were the one who chose.
You're gonna blame this on me.
You
You're gonna start gaslighting me, old man.
It was whatever flavor you want. Here, just think harder of a flavor you want.
I'm sure it was a mistake, Shaw. And she picks up her own.
Okay, what flavor do you want?
It's white.
Oh, because she's white?
Yeah.
Shaw's like, oh my god, no, I promise, it's just it keys to a flavor that you find enjoyable, and then it turns a color that is representative of that flavor, I swear.
Malthus picks up his, and it's the same color as his skin tone. And he's like, you fucking racist.
Trinculo, you son of a bitch.
That's just raspberry blast, I swear.
You are such a fucking racist.
Anyway, here, put the jars back down and then watch. And so, as soon as you all place the vials back onto the table, you see like a little arcane circle light up around them, and then some lines of energy go to the other vials, and those like fill up with liquid the same color and the same amount as the vials that you were holding. And he hands those new vials to you, and he says, so long as you don't drain the vial completely, the spell will stay intact, and you can drink from this. I'll refill it from the cauldron here, and you'll have power aid for your entire journey.
How do we communicate to you when we need more?
Well, I'll be working here for most all hours of the day. This is sort of it's not my home away from home. And he almost like, it looks like he has a sudden upsetting realization.
That he lives in his laboratory?
Oh God, I haven't slept in a bed in months.
Oh God, I'm so alone.
I just curl up here.
I'm so alone.
I haven't seen the boys down at the tavern in what must be a year. My gods, what have I been doing with my life?
Trinculo.
He's very upset. Do you offer any words of comfort?
It seems that the woods aren't the only prisoner here.
Clearly, the pursuit of science is more important.
Or that.
Yeah, yes. I'm a man of my studies. That's it. I have more important things to do than mess about with sleep or friends.
Malthus says, you should get the fuck out of this lab some more.
Well,
dude, it's a crazy world out there. It's so fun.
Science is important, but yes, I agree. You should take a sleep break every now and then.
But you just told me that... okay, well...
But you should really buckle down on your science.
He's just like, he's sitting at his desk now with his hands on his head, and he's just like, oh, okay. All right, well, I'll be here for sure, reassessing my life choices. But anytime I'm not, I'll make sure that there's someone here to refill the vials as necessary.
So we need simply trek all the way back to your lab, should we need more power aid.
No. I will... Here, drink a little bit of your Powerade now. Watch what happens.
As you turn to Shaw, you see that he drank all of it while you were talking.
Okay, Shaw, I need you to roll 3d20 real quick.
Yeah, 20 plus 5 plus 6.
Oh, dag. Okay, so you roll a total of 31, and in mechanics terms, you have 31 rounds of advantage, and you have 62 hit points, temporary hit points. So you feel like you feel on top of the world right now.
Shaw's pupils dilate beyond.
Hey, one of those was a natural 20.
Beyond his eyeballs.
Mm-hmm. And Trinculo's like, oh man, you really don't want to do that. It won't kill you, but you're gonna have a wicked hangover in the morning.
Become Shiva.
Right. So, in this scenario, where you empty your entire bottle, the sympathetic link between the two vials will be broken. So I'll need to, and he takes the vial from me and puts it back on the table. And he's like, I'll need to reset the spell. And he starts drawing into a summoning circle. And he's like, and then once it is reset, I can refill the parent vial here. And he does so. And then, and he's like, oh, after he refills it, he hands it back to Sean. He's like, here.
It's even more effective if you drink it through your butt.
You'll need to
drink it through your butt, Sean.
realign this vial with you. So think harder this time about what flavor you want. If you didn't like that one,
Does it go lemon now?
Okay, Shaw, he thinks about his favorite person, and the liquid slowly refills, and it's this, it looks like a storm cloud, and it's a deep purple, and you can see stars swirling inside of it, and he pours a little bit of it out, and there's like music accompanying it as he does so, and it's just like this purple rain. And he's like, I thought of you, Malthus.
Aw, ain't you a sweetie?
And
man, purple rain would be a cool Powerade flavor.
Fuck yeah, it would. Now you want to talk about lawsuits? If they tried to call a Powerade flavor Purple Rain, right? So he takes the bottle from you and he sets it down, and he finishes the spell, and you see the same thing as before. Lines of power go to the second bottle, and it fills up, and he hands that to you. He's like, okay, so long as you don't do that again, you can go as far away from here as you like, and I will be able to refill the bottles here. So just do your best not to drink it all, and I will be as prompt as possible with the refilling.
I sometimes hold Congress in the astral realm. Will it work there?
Well, it's interesting you would say that. When you go to the astral realm, your physical body will stay here in the material plane. Therefore, your items won't necessarily translate with you.
What if I drink some first?
You know, I'm not sure. That would be very interesting, though. The next time you are about to astral project, please give it a try. Be interested to see the results.
Well, you're a scientist. Why do we not attempt the experiment now? I'll begin the necessary preparations.
He casts silence on you. Make a wisdom saving throw.
He fails it.
Okay, cool. So you continue in your own thing that you think you're still throat singing, but Trinculo just turns to Malthus and Felina, and he says, one last thing. Sycorax is not some simple bandit holding a hostage for blackmail. He is a dragon. He tears with his claws, breaks to pieces with his head, crushes with his tail, and gnashes with his teeth. He can spit poison with his eyes, and he could kill with his breath. If he wanted to, he could level Wartburg in minutes. Even this citadel, with all of its security, wouldn't last long against his ire. No, if Sycorax simply wanted our gold for his hoard, he would have just taken it. There's something deeper going on here, but exactly what, I know not. I urge you caution as you approach his lair, and be ready for anything.
Felina looks at the mute Shaw and says, "Silence him all you want. He may just make a mess on your floor."
And he's like, I have cantrips for that. That's okay. But I need you to understand. Tell me you understand that this is a very big deal.
Yes, if we fuck up, shit will go crazy.
Okay, good. Right. This probably goes without saying, but I've given you this potion and all of this warning because staying any longer in the Grimswood than you absolutely have to is an incredibly dangerous enterprise. I recommend you don't take any breaks, no rests long or short on your way. Use this to bolster your healing and health and make your way through as quick as possible. It will likely take about a day to make it through the wood, but any dallying will just make it more difficult.
How about Dillian?
Any dillying or dallying, Master Bard, would be very inadvisable.
Ah, fuck, I had so much Dillian planned.
What about shenanigans?
I imagine you probably did. If you like, you could likely spare one more day if you wanted to rest here for the night.
I mean, she's been gone for, 6 months now? I think we could spare one more day.
Yes, as the kobolds are taking from our coffers today, they probably won't be back for at least as long as it takes them to make the trip. However, I do want to stress, and he kind of looks a little bit uncomfortable, but he says, the Queen would not want me to tell you this, but our coffers are dangerously low. The kobolds are likely taking the last or the very next to last of our store as we speak. We've managed to keep from overtaxing the citizens so far, but we can't keep this up much longer, so please, after tonight, make as much haste as possible to recover our precious princess and put an end to this blackmail. Right, so Trinculo offers you guys beds here at the Citadel if you want, or he can direct you to some nice places in town to stay the night.
How nice. I mean, 'cause the ride up, it wasn't that nice.
He puts his hand. Shitty. He puts his hand out and kind of like.
Alright, Felina doesn't want any of that. She's gonna take a bed at the Citadel.
Okay.
As does Shaw. He's ready to rest and get on with the adventure. When will his voice return?
With it.
Malthus does as well.
Now that he's got all the relevant exposition out of the way, he dismisses the silence spell on Shaw.
Malthus takes Shaw's head and leads him to the bathroom.
Okay, cool. Right, so the three adventurers spend their evening in the Raven Citadel and will start anew in the morning.